I'm delighted to be here with Donald McGarva in this series of conversations for today, interviews about leadership in our difficult environment. Donald McGarva is the Group CEO of Amino Technologies PLC, and he's also Chairman of the CBI for the East of England. I suppose as we commence the fourth week of lockdown in the UK, many organisations and people, I think, are still adjusting to that new normal. I think leadership's never been so tested or so visible, and perhaps that age-old expression, is truer than ever, that in times of crisis, great leaders emerge. And of course, we're seeing some leaders not, unfortunately, emerge at all. So I've got a few questions that I'd like to explore with you to share with everyone. Despite the hard decisions and judgments that you've clearly been having to make over the last few weeks, in an ever-changing landscape, I know that at the beginning of this lockdown, you were very much focused on your people, giving them time, giving them space, giving them a lot of support to adjust to for many was a new normality that was actually really hard. I'm coughing now, that's not good. But I think it was very much, you had a human focus that at least initially possibly even overrode the commercial one. But a few weeks in, what would you say is different and important now?
Well, nothing's changed from our point of view and from my point of view. In fact, it's probably become even more important. Now, we set out at the beginning of this, I said that, look, the most important thing is if we look after our people will look after our customers, and our customers will take care of the business. Yeah. And that's fundamentally the focus that we've had. And, we were in some ways a little bit fortunate in that we did get a bit of a preview of this. We're very much a global company, and we were quite impacted in Hong Kong and China and Asia, 3 months before this. So we saw the impact of that. Initially, we perceived the impact to be in our supply side of the business. But what we quickly realised that actually it was more in terms of our people and the impact of people. Because our people in Hong Kong, working from home was a pretty new concept. They live in sort of more cramped conditions, etc. So we saw firsthand the impact of them having to work out of their homes and how that impacted on their lifestyle, their families, etc. So we did get a bit of a dry run, and we realised that if we could...
Was any of that surprising?
Yes, I mean, a lot of us thought working from home is not such a big issue, but when you've got to take the whole business working from home, it's a massive issue. Just look at software developers. You think you can code anywhere. Well, you have to whitelist devices, you have to have the right tools, they have to have the right level of broadband at home, or be able to deal with that by tagging on a phone or mobile phone or whatever. So there's a lot of really little technical nitty-gritty, have they got a seat and a desk that they can work out that isn't the kitchen table because the family need to eat there at 5 o'clock. So all of those little things became quite big things. And we realised, our team in Hong Kong were fantastic about making sure that everybody did the right tools. And then the communication started to cut in because we realised that we have to communicate differently. We're going to have to use better tools. We're going to have, we tried all the different video conferencing facilities. So we're using Zoom today. We use Zoom. We use that for our bigger gatherings. We use Microsoft Teams when we get smaller gatherings, which is probably a little bit more effective for those. So we start to use the tools a bit more different. But the big thing became how we keep motivation and the confidence, of our team to make sure that they were all focused on their customers and the deliverables and the family as well, and how we mix in with that. So, we did, we had a lot of people actually, funnily enough, who are working harder than ever. We do a whole bunch of online services, so we customers have seen massive increase in number of subscribers, hours that people are watching media and content. So some of our people are working 24/7, and how do they make that work and do that all remotely? So that hasn't changed. And what we've found is that we're just doing a few small things, like send them a fruit basket or a vegetable basket has been brilliant. And then we've got a whole load of new events and opportunities to sort of socialise differently, and that's really had quite a positive impact. But again, obviously we focused on some things in the business, commercially. So we've taken decisions again that make sure that we can take some of the uncertainty away for our people, make sure that we're robust to get through whatever comes next.
Yes.
We're only in the first stage of this, so we've got more to come, unfortunately. And it's not all going to be good, far from it. So we've got to make sure the business is robust as possible, and that everybody knows what they've got to do and what they can do to get through this.
Yeah, indeed. And I suppose from that perspective, and as you say, that robust leadership, if you like, in difficult times, I think that the fundamentals of leadership clearly haven't changed at all as a result of this pandemic, and as you just said, but the way we do it has, and of course, I suppose for decades people have said face to face is best. That's why everyone flies around the world and we talk to people. And now, of course, all we've got is calls, emails, digital platforms, and that's it. And so it's interesting, your point just now in terms of how that's changed how you lead, but also what's quite interesting when you mentioned people's families. So I almost, the conversations I've had over the last few weeks is it's quite a different leadership, because yes, it's about your employees, but it's about their wider environment at home as well, which sort of you have to bring in too.
Yeah. Well, you've just got to accept that you might be in the middle of a Zoom call and somebody's child's going to come out and then drag, pull in on the sort of shirt sleeve saying, can I get this, or can you do this for me? And just got to accept that and let that go. Because I'm having it in my house. So I think one of the most important things about leadership right now is to put yourself in the shoes of the people, in your employees or your customers, so that you can see what they see. And we're all human at the end of the day. And I don't think anyone is untouched by this. It doesn't matter what kind of leader or what position you've got. You are impacted by this in a way, either emotionally or physically. And you've got to deal with that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And I think the interesting conversations that you and I had, just a week or so ago, that element of looking after people very differently, the introverts, the extroverts, what we see in the office to what we see at home is flipped almost.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is now you've got to listen a lot harder. You can't get the physical sort of feeling. Yes. But you've got to ask a lot of questions and ask a lot deeper questions. I mean, one of the things through trial and error we found is, and I think I said to you, one of the biggest impacts was in people who are single and they've now been stuck at home, for several weeks on their own with no contact. And they're the people that are real extrovert or introverted. They still, you feel it. And I really noticed that after the first week, I remember coming back on the Monday and we do these virtual tea breaks. And I really noticed the difference in the singles, because they had suddenly, they clocked off on Friday night and we had virtual drinks. Yeah. And then they had nothing to look forward to all weekend. And actually coming back to work was quite good for them, because it's but you suddenly realised, we need to do something different to keep them motivated. So I'm finding when we're on these calls, you've really got to be like, actually my experience this year has been great, because you've got to pick people out and make sure that you get to hear their voice. Yes. Because the introverts amongst us will either not join the call if they're not asked to, or they won't speak when they're on the call. And if you just pick them out and ask them how they're getting on, it's quite enlightening, and they seem to appreciate it as well.
Absolutely. Well, I think what's interesting what you say is that sort of that ability to notice, which is always crucial, but it's really gone up a notch. As you say, noticing the noise, but really noticing the quiet or the different. When people are acting different to their norm level, if you like. Yeah.
And just reaching out to some people individually that you wouldn't reach out to. Yeah. Whether that's Andy in support or Joe in accounts, who you normally would just say hello to in the office. Just doing that. Now it's a bit easier for me when we're only 300 people, so I can imagine in a larger organisation it's a lot more challenging. But I'm able to regularly actually get on a Zoom call with the whole company and do that geographically or whatever. But some people obviously aren't. So I think the communication thing becomes much more important.
Absolutely.
And you can never over communicate in this kind of situation.
No.
people looking for any sort of information or assurance
yes,
or help, really, in
well,
many
absolutely.
cases.
And I think, as you said earlier, sometimes it's the little things, and sometimes the little thing might just be someone reaching out and saying, "Hello, are you, are you okay, or are you there, or whatever," which actually.
Yeah. One of the best things we did was, as I said, we've been sending everybody a little fruit basket or some vegetables box or whatever, and they really appreciated that. And then 2 weeks ago, we said, hey, why don't we do something different? So we did this sort of pay it forward campaign. So we said to everybody, this week, we're not going to send you anything, but we'd like you to send something on behalf of yourself and the company to somebody else. And we've had it's small, and it was, like £20 value, so equivalent of the fruit basket. Instead of coming to, they've all been picking other people out to send a gift to.
That's
And then some of the communities got together. In Spain, in Madrid, the team there decided they wanted to combine it, and they wanted to give something to the local Red Cross. And so they also then put in some money themselves. And we've done that in the UK in some of the food banks around Cambridge, which are struggling.
Yes, absolutely.
So we've seen these little acts of kindness, and the feedback you get from that is really good. It makes people feel that they can do something positive, even if
that's fantastic. Yeah, that's
it
brilliant.
doesn't much money either.
Yeah.
So.
As you say, though, I mean, what a lovely initiative, and it is that sometimes that this environment does make one feel helpless, whoever you are. So actually, if there is something one can do, and I think as you say, the kindness, the community spirit that we've seen within our communities, maybe across the nation and with companies as well, is a great thing. That's really cool. I saw something this morning on social media, which you may have done as well, and I believe, or I understand, that we should not always believe everything we read. That it was some graffiti on the Hong Kong Underground that said, "We can't return to normal because the normal that we had was precisely the problem," which resonated quite like that. And I wondered, what do you think is going to emerge for the better once we're out the other side, whatever that other side looks like?
Yeah, I mean, there's some real obvious ones that we clearly aren't going to travel nearly as much. We're certainly not going to commute as much because we realise we don't need to do it. I think work-life balance will become much more important to people, much more important. And I think it'll become much more important to leaders and managers and businesses. Because if you get that balance right, the productivity is great. I mean, I actually heard that in North America, in areas where they're not used to home working, yes, there's been some issues, but there's also been some people that have actually been home and they've managed to do in 3 or 4 hours what they used to do in a full work day. So actually, productivity is kind of improving in some roles.
Absolutely.
So I think there'll be a much better balance in that. I don't know about you. I mean, I'm busy at the weekends, but my mailbox isn't nearly as busy as it used to be.
Yeah.
And I'm getting bored down. Which is remarkable. I mean, there's still lots going on, but it's certainly not as intense as it was, and I don't feel I have to check my phone every 5 minutes to see what is there. So I think some of that will be maintained. I don't think we'll commute. I certainly won't be travelling as regularly, and I think when I do travel, it'll be more intense, seeing more customers at once rather than jetting off for a meeting somewhere, because you realise it is unnecessary, and we can do it by video, and we can get results. So those things are more important. I think there's going to be a bigger impact just in how people realise that their suppliers, their customers, we're all part of an ecosystem. The fact that if you're a landlord, you're going to realise if you don't have good customers doing well and you're not helping them doing well, you're not going to get paid your rent anymore. So we're actually going to have to work harder to work, particularly with our suppliers as well, to make sure that we're all part of the ecosystem and we're all benefiting. Because if somebody's not, it's got a massive domino effect, and we're seeing that right now. I think that'll be the biggest impact. We've got through this relatively well, because I had a bunch of suppliers who are in China and Thailand and Malaysia who've actually managed to pull together and help us get through this. And so all the good work we did in managing suppliers in the past is now starting to really bear some fruit when we're in a really tough time. And they're pulling together and working together, and we're all going to benefit from that. So I think people will see that much more in the future.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. And that's a great thing, is it not? You know,
It is. So.
There will be troubles along the way for sure, and hardship and heartache, but actually if those sorts of things flourish and become different, that's great. That's really great.
And then the last thing is just personally, I don't know about you, but I think our local communities have suddenly become much more important to us. Yeah. Whether that's a local store, the butchers, or somebody who delivers flowers or whatever, it's just become much more important.
Yeah.
So and I think some of that will be maintained for quite some time.
Yeah, I agree, absolutely. And I think that whole, it's that human spirit, isn't it? Whether it's on a wider level or just local communities becoming that much more vibrant and actually learning stuff about people that have lived down the road for ages and we didn't know, but now we do. That's great, and the support that goes with that. Brilliant. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your time.